Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're doing something really fun. We're decoding the hidden psychological advantages behind all those little quirks and behaviors that society completely misunderstands and frankly wrongly labels as flaws. So if you've always felt like you operate just a little bit differently than the crowd, well, you are absolutely in the right place.
Okay, let's just dive right in by asking a super simple question. Have you ever felt like your mind works entirely differently than everyone else's? Because honestly, if you've ever felt like a total outlier, with endlessly shifting hobbies, maybe a messy desk or an inner monologue that literally won't quit, this analysis is going to validate exactly how your brain operates. We are going to completely reframe what you probably thought were your biggest weaknesses. Section 1. Your weird habits explained. Unlocking the power of a busy mind. So let's start at the micro level with a little habit you probably do when you're entirely alone. Do you talk to yourself when nobody's around? Now, most people assume muttering to yourself is kind of strange or even a sign of confusion. But actually, psychology proves it's a massive sign of highly active mental processing. You aren't going crazy, you're literally just consulting the smartest person in the room. Speaking out loud brings bouncing ideas out into the open. For you, talking is literally just a way of thinking. And you know what? That exact same mental engine powers all those fake scenarios your brain creates, especially right before you go to sleep. No, you aren't just losing your grip on reality, your mind is using what's called anticipatory simulation. Think of it like a highly advanced practice arena. Your brain is treating your imagination as a training ground to make absolutely sure you're never caught off guard in real life. It's brilliant, really.
Minds that do this aren't confused at all. Actually, scratch that. They're incredibly efficient. Whether it's organizing building blocks of complex info or sparking total light bulb moments, you're building strong self-awareness and solving puzzles effortlessly. Why? Because you aren't afraid of the silence. For you, silence doesn't trigger fear. It activates your imagination.
Just watch how this naturally unfolds into your nighttime routine. Right when your physical body finally gets quiet, your overactive mind basically scrambles to resolve all those unfinished cognitive loops from the day. It rehearses upcoming social interactions, and sometimes, well, it simply finds an emotional escape hatch from the stressful reality. Section 2. The psychology of messiness. What clutter actually means.
Now, how does all this intense internal activity translate to your physical space? Have you ever caught yourself harshly judging a cluttered room? The outside world instantly assumes it's just laziness, but the actual psychological reality? It's often a symptom of intense cognitive overwhelm. See, your brain doesn't just look at a single dish to wash. It sees this insurmountable mountain of chaos, which triggers instant total avoidance. So instead of just focusing on one tiny chore, an exhausted mind completely filters out the chaos just to survive. Think about it like a drained phone battery. If daily stress has already tanked your energy, a mountain of laundry feels absolutely impossible, especially since there's no immediate reward. There is always, and I mean always, a deeper psychological story at play here than simply not caring.
Moving on to Section 3. The silent, fast learner. The hidden power of the quietest person in the room.
Okay, let's pivot a bit and explore exactly how this misunderstood mind absorbs new information. You see, while the world usually rewards people who speak the absolute loudest, the typical learner is just memorizing facts for a quick social performance. The silent learner, on the other hand, they quietly use associative learning. They're constantly connecting new ideas to old ones, building these massively complex internal mental models, all without ever needing to show off.
The real secret weapon here is metacognition. It sounds fancy, but it just means thinking about your own thinking. Silent learners aren't disengaged or zoned out at all. They are actively running a high-level psychological audit in their heads. They're constantly processing feedback and tweaking their approach. They aren't just thinking about the topic, they are critically analyzing how they think about the topic.
This creates an entirely invisible four-step learning process. First up, they observe quietly. Second, they build those associative connections. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, they comfortably tolerate confusion. They treat mistakes as simple data and feedback rather than some huge, embarrassing failure. And finally, they apply it all through active practice.
Section 4. The polymath's hidden struggle. The burden of endless curiosity.
But listen, this rapid learning comes with a really unique challenge, especially for the exploratory mind. Have you ever literally frozen up when someone asks you, "So, what exactly do you do?" Feeling completely unable to sum up your endlessly shifting interests, jumping from psychology to business to history to tech, all in 1 week with one simple label? Man, it is exhausting.
To the outside world,
This just looks like inconsistency or a total lack of focus. But psychology reveals it's actually a relentless drive for exploratory thinking. The core dilemma is that polymaths refuse to be pulled down one single rigid lane. It's not that they hate commitment, it's that their minds simply demand constant movement and novelty across multiple diverging paths.
I absolutely love this quote because it perfectly captures the essence of the polymath experience. Sometimes the mind doesn't struggle from thinking too little, it struggles from wanting to explore too much. Your mind isn't broken, guys, it's just hungry. It's hungry for complex, connected pieces of reality. Feeling overwhelmed by your own curiosity is literally just a byproduct of having a highly capable, wonderfully expansive intellect.
Section 5. Redefining success and timelines. Escaping the expected path.
Now, let's zoom out to the macro level. Why do these unique minds so often look like late bloomers to everyone else? Simple, because not all growth is visible. While it might look like they are falling behind their peers, think of it like a massive root system being built underground. They are quietly creating this huge foundation of knowledge in a place where society can't immediately grade it or judge it.
And this forces a complete 180-degree shift in mindset. Notice the stark difference we're talking about here. The rat race is basically a hamster wheel. You're just sprinting for fast social approval and external status. But the quiet escape? That's about consciously stepping off that wheel to build sustainable habits. It's about valuing your own autonomy and your long-term well-being way over what society expects of you.
Escaping the rat race isn't necessarily about quitting your job and moving to a cabin in the woods, though that sounds nice. It's actually a psychological choice. It's choosing your own winding, authentic path and just walking away from the crowd. Quiet escapers value their time exponentially more than some fancy title, and they'll happily trade social expectations for absolute, pure personal authenticity.
So why do they almost always eventually win? Well, because they've survived the failures and learned so much from their meandering paths. Their eventual peak is built on this unshakable, evidence-based confidence, rather than just blind youthful optimism. They make infinitely superior decisions later in life, specifically because they've already collected hard data from all their past mistakes.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway from this entire explainer is this. Your unique habits, your quiet learning style, and your delayed timelines are not flaws holding you back. No way. They are your ultimate cognitive advantages. You haven't fallen behind, you just finally realized the race everyone else is running doesn't actually lead anywhere you want to be.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Now that you know exactly how your mind actually works, what does winning actually look like for you personally? Don't let society answer that question for you. Keep exploring those hidden depths of yours, and we'll see you in the next explainer.